construction, you find yourself in the construction field as an FM, pay attention to the kind of data you are getting. And if you are lucky enough to be involved in the project as early as possible, try as much as possible not to wait till the end of the construction before trying to gather relevant data for your FM processes. Now, for a proactive facility management professional, you can adopt you can adopt technology in various areas. When we say proactive, we are saying a facility manager that, well, we cannot see the future per se, but somebody that is proactive will prepare for eventuality. We can kind of look at our present state, look at historical events and be able to predict what are the likely problems I'm likely going to face in the future, then put measures in place to be able to mitigate. Yeah, there you might not be able to stop it from happening, but you can put measures in place to be able to mitigate the impact of that future eventuality. Right? I have two generators, or I have two generators. They are running perfectly, there's no problem. But we all know that machines are prone to spoilage, to damage, to whatever, right? As a proactive FM, I can ask myself, what measure can I put in place in such a way that if this machine breaks down, I can have two machines. I can say, oh, I'm running one, I have one for backup. What if both of them breaks down? What would you do? What plan have you put in place? What have you put in place to ensure? Then you can even ask yourself, what are the likely things that are likely going to break to make this machine breaks down? And okay, let me get spare part, let me maybe have some relationship somewhere, have some contract somewhere to ensure that if this thing breaks down, I can, call. What have you? Maybe you have some solar solution somewhere or some inverter somewhere. For example, you have a lift system. Here you might have a sound power system, but what if something goes wrong? So a proactive facility manager can, can use technology to address both your current facility management problem. You can also use technology for what we call operation readiness planning. Operation readiness planning is the kind of plan you put in place ahead of starting a full-blown FM operation. Either you are coming from construction phase to operational phase, or you are getting newly into an FM contract. Maybe your organization is giving an FM contract. You have to go through an operational readiness planning for you to be able to deploy the right resources to kickstart the contract and ensure that the contract runs smoothly. You can use technology for what we call life cycle facility management planning. We have strategic asset lifecycle planning, capital replacement and improvement, emergency preparedness and business continuity planning. We have tactical planning like your space management, your operation and maintenance planning and budget. We have routine inspection. Some of the things I've talked about are areas where you can use technology. Routine inspection, can use your smart devices with custom solution to capture data. You can use your CMS solution to plan your operation and maintenance budget. You can use a CAFM solution to plan asset lifecycle planning, capital replacement, and the likes. So FM technology is versatile. Using of technology is fantastic. But how do we go about planning and executing the use of technology in our facility management processes? This brings us to the next slide. So we're talking about, I'll be very fast with this. And the reason why I'll be very fast with this is because the bulk of these are actually be addressed in the procurement course. I'll just kind of point out some some key areas we need to pay attention to with respect to FM technology per se. And the first thing is um, when we are planning to adopt a piece of technology, the first thing we need to look at, what is the objective? What are we trying to do? And if you go back to procurement, when we were talking about procurement, we said it's a systematic process in which an organization, come into an agreement, to either purchase a good and service and the likes and the like. But before, if you pay attention, if you remember what you were taught in that course, we said that an organization must understand there must be a reason behind the whole concept of procurement. There must be a problem they are trying to solve. There must be an objective. Then we talked about the objective. We talked about our customer, our end user, the purpose of our facility. What exactly are we trying to do? What kind of business is running at the likes and the likes? Business consideration, return on investment and the likes, functionality, aesthetics and the likes. So the list goes on and on and on. But the key aspect of it is the focus should be, what are we trying to achieve? What is the goal? What is the objective? Now, before we start deploying any piece of technology, there's something we call pre-implementation phase. And the pre-implementation phase is essentially the planning phase, where we are looking at our processes and we are trying to determine what exactly are we trying to do, what kind of facility management are we, facility processes are we trying to enhance, and what exactly are we trying to enhance, what are we trying to achieve, right? And this is the part where we start engaging with stakeholders like the end user, top management, the IT department, the procurement department, to kind of define the boundaries of what we are trying to achieve. We say many IT initiatives fail due to poor planning and execution. Most important is actually poor planning. In this in this phase, where we are engaging with stakeholders, planning our team, trying to understand the boundary problem. For some of us that have gone through university or probably what we call polytechnic and the like, there's something we all went through, which is final year project. And in that, before you start going to fabricate, or for the engineering student among us, before you start going to make that weather by the roadside, cutting metals and the likes, you have to first define what you are trying to achieve in terms of your final year project, and you will present that the objective of your project to your supervisor or probably a project panel. Try to convince them why they should allow you to undergo that project. In fact, maybe when you are engaging with your supervisor, you probably come up with a team where, based on the peculiarity of your project, you might probably be team up with your departmental technicians or some other external technicians, collaborate with your supervisor. If it's an area that your supervisor is not that knowledgeable area, and they probably have maybe another professor or doctor in another department that might be a valuable contributor to that, your supervisor might kind of arrange a meeting with such person to kind of enhance your project. What we are saying in essence is that you go through a series of plans, right? Agree on what the deliverable, what the project should achieve at the end of the day before you before you start the whole project, start cutting and the like. So essentially, the whole pre-implementation phase is essentially the entire planning process we engage in, and which is kind of cut across. Even in non-FM technology, you have a project. Maybe there's a building project, a renovation project. We still kind of go through the same process where we engage relevant stakeholder, relevant department, probably form a project team, and the likes and the likes. So it is actually the same thing when it comes to FM technology. Then there's what we call source selection. Now, we have defined what our objective is, and we have identified areas where we need FM technology. The next question will be, what kind of technology should we engage in? Or what kind of software should we buy? What are the available ones out there? Which of them can really solve the problem we are trying to achieve? And that's where source selection process comes in, where we are probably engaging with some user workshop, engaging in webinar, watching YouTube video, talking to relevant vendors, revealing maybe what we call Gardner report, which is an industry level report that review various technology. You can talk to a consultant and probably join IFMA Council. I think earlier this year, we were approached by LNG. LNG were trying to implement what they call smart solution, smart building solution, and which is like implementing a piece of technology in their facility. And one of the first things they did was they kind of talked to various vendors, and Max-Migold is one of the vendors they spoke to, trying to explain what they are trying to achieve and soliciting for our understanding and proposed solution. And based on that interaction, we kind of won the contract. And at the moment, we are actually in the implementation phase, where based on the agreed solution and the understanding of what they are trying to achieve, we are able to come up with several technical solutions to be able to address the smart solution initiative we are trying to achieve. So you might not necessarily go through this list one by one. You might pick one, whether you are talking to a consultant, straightforward, right? If you are somebody like me that is very resourceful and engage in a lot of research, you might probably go through series of various, like for me, when we were trying to implement a combined CRM and a facility management solution, which was deployed to the organization I think some months back. I kind of involved in a bit of research, YouTube video, reading up on various vendors to be able to come up with the right solution for the organization. So it depends on you as a professional. If you feel like as an FM professional, you are not that knowledgeable in the area, you can talk to a consultant, especially if you discover that you don't really have enough time to do an in-depth research. You can skip all this and just talk to a consultant straightforward. Because the reason why you go with a consultant, because given their level of experience and exposure, there's likelihood that they have done or addressed a similar problem in the past, which may make it easier for them to provide or prescribe a solution faster to you to be able to address your unique problem. Coming to the purchase process, which is similar to what you address in your procurement process. Basically, what we are saying when it comes to technology, there are three fundamental things you need to pay attention to. And the first is, before you agreed on any piece of technology, the first question you need to ask is, will this piece of technology be able to support my organization on the long run? what is the future compatibility of the solution to where we are going as a company. You have to ask questions about what we call data governance. Who owns what? Where will the data be stored? Who will be in charge of the data? Nowadays, the organizations are taking other people's data and using it to train some AI and blah, blah, blah. You need to ask questions so that they will not be using your facility management data to go and be training one AI for their own internal software solution, especially when you are trying to acquire SaaS solution for your FM. You have to ask a lot of questions so that they will not go and be using your data to be training AI, which eventually exposes your internal data to some third party and whatever, which can lead to a lot of data breach or data leak and the likes. You need to kind of have clarification on the total cost of acquisition. Most of the time, we focus more on the licensing cost or the cost of buying the software, but we don't focus on the total cost. And the total cost goes beyond the cost of buying the software. Cost of training is very important. Um, time it takes for data migration, where your time it takes your IT to migrate your data and customize the solution, either your internal IT or probably whatever. All this, the totality of both time and money spent is the total cost of that acquisition. And you need to pay attention to that. And also ask questions about indirect cost. There are some software vendors that will say, when you buy this, if you have problem, you have to buy support separately. So if you have problem with your solution, you have to buy, if I have to support you for 1 hour, you have to pay some certain amount of money. So those are kind of questions you need to ask because it will really help you when you are trying to decide among maybe 2 or 3 software solution or technical solution. You're trying to decide which among them is the best. So you have to ask these 3 important questions to be able to know which one of them will be better suited for your organization. The implementation process is kind of straightforward, and one of the key things is most of the time you might not really be directly involved with the implementation. You might probably have a consultant working for you. I remember when we deployed a CAFM solution for one of the government agencies in Bayelsa. Their team were not directly involved. The consultant was the one. What we did was just an interaction between us and the IT department to be able to get the essential data to populate into the system and configure the system and the like. So, but notwithstanding, as the FM in charge or the person in charge or the project owner, you should be able to define the timeline for the project. And what we always advise is ask yourself, when exactly in the future do you want this project to be available to your end user? Then start from there and ask yourself, what do I need to put in place to be able to achieve that? Then start working your way backward to your present day. So that will let you be able to develop what we call project timeline. And you can use that to track the process of your implementation. We talked about celebrating small wins. We talked about telling your stories. Telling your stories can be um, talking about what you are doing, whether using your internal messaging board, emailing, and the like. The reason why you are doing this is to prepare the mind of your end user about what's to come. Engaging in define a kind of a two-way communication loop between yourself and the technological vendor and identify escalation methodology process with the vendor. And why this is important is there are likely going to be friction in the implementation process, and you want to ensure that you guys have defined a way to escalate issues so that they can be resolved as fast as possible. Moving forward. So lastly, the we talked about input to this is what we call facility management information system for construction. I don't want to dwell too much on this. We'll still have to see a similar slide like this. So we'll talk more, we'll expand more on this. But basically, this is just list of information that FM should be able to get from the construction team or the construction company once you are moving from your construction phase to your facility management or what we call operation and maintenance phase. Now, what happened after you have implemented your solution? What happened? What comes next is what we call the post-implementation process. And one of the key things that is very important, one of the fundamental mistakes we make in this phase is immediately we have deployed the solution and everybody has pump champagne and everything. We go to sleep as FM. We just think that the system should automatically just works. And we fail to realize that human beings don't like changes. We like to do things the way we have been doing it in the last 10 years. We don't want to change. So it's always very important as FM to do what we call follow up with our end user, do a checkup on them, ask them questions about areas they're having difficulties, engage with them to resolve this issue. Ensure that they are using the solution. Don't just assume. Engage with them and the likes, then conduct what they call post-project debrief. And the reason why you are doing this is to be able to document what we call lesson learned. So that in the future, if you want to engage in a similar project or something related, you can use the brief documentation to be able to plan the future project. Then you say publicly celebrate your implementation theme. And the reason why you are doing this is there's most likely your implementation team will come from various departments, not necessarily FM. And when you celebrate them, if you need their support in the future, it is easier for them to, they will be eager to collaborate with the FM department again in future projects. So information requirement for facility management is kind of straightforward. We need a facility management information system like CAFE, CAD, and some other solution. We talk more on them when we get to useful application for facility management technology. We'll talk about BIM, some information on your routine maintenance, your life cycle management, your capital planning, unification, visualization, information-based analysis such as energy and sustainability, precise location data, and the likes. So these are just some of the information you will need handy as an FM professional to be able to translate that information into any given piece of technology. All right, so moving forward. So what are the useful applications for FM technology we have out there? So I'm going to talk through them. We will not probably be talking about any specific software, but we will talk about on a high level some of the FM technology and their practical application to various FM activity. Now, the first on my agenda or my list is what we call asset tagging with embedded data. If you remember when I started, I talked about having some application on your phone that you can use to, read some barcode on your asset and give you real-time information about your asset. And you can also use that to update your assets That is talking about asset tagging and embedded data technology. And this is quite important, especially if you want to have real-time information about your asset without, as you move through, as you conduct maybe your routine inspection, you come across an asset, you can quickly scan the barcode and have a real live information about what the asset, the maintenance information, some critical information about that so that you can make informed decision as you go across your facility. We have what we call leak detection technology, and this kind of use what we call IoTs and sensors to be able to detect leaks like water leak, gas leak, or some other leakages. And this is quite important or very useful, especially to prevent spillages, to prevent wastage and the likes. We have had situations in the past where a vendor supply like 1,000 liters of diesel. This era where diesel is quite important, and somehow the valve to the diesel tank got loosed, and unknowingly to the FM and the security personnel, the entire tank of 1,000 liters of diesel gets depleted, and that was a total waste. In a situation like that, if you have maybe a leakage detector system in place, immediately we have that issue before we have the entire whatever being depleted, we could have gotten some level of alert to quickly alert either the FM personnel on site or the security people on site, and they would have been able to salvage the situation. Even though they can't prevent it, but at least they would have been able to salvage the situation and ensure that we don't lose the entire liters of diesel. Apart from the wastage in terms of money, whatever, the charging almost 1,000 liters of diesel to the facility will lead to a lot of contamination and spillages. We have had situation where an eatery have engaged our services with respect to installing leakage detector system for their water system because they are having frequent leakages, and which kind of handicap their eatery processing, and they want a situation where relevant team can get alert, because most of this thing happen over the night. Relevant team can get alert of what is happening, and they can make adequate provision ahead of time before the kitchen crew comes in place to ensure that adequate water is in place to ensure the smooth kitchen operation. We have intelligent waste collection powered by sensor. I think there was a video I was watching sometimes in the past where you have this smart collection waste system where when you throw in your waste, the system is smart enough to segregate waste based on bacteria. And I think earlier this year too, there was a discussion between us and Stanbic Bank where they installed this solid waste processing system that helped them to sort their waste as part of their sustainability initiative, which to me was a brilliant idea. And I think it's part of their new head office that they are kind of, I don't know if they are done with the construction in, I think, Water Carrington on the Highland. Something you can kind of research and figure out what they are doing, but that was a powerful initiative and is something commendable. We have adjustment of energy demand by household appliance in reaction to dynamic energy pricing. This is what we call energy management system, where we talk about what they call demand shifting, where you can have a system in place that will ensure that during the peak hour, some of your equipment are prevented from running, either your water pump, some of your high power machinery, your sewage treatment plant and the like. You can schedule them to operate either late in the evening or very early in the morning, where your tariff, because uh, in some country, I'm not too sure of that in Nigeria, but in some country, your price of what they call it, your price of electricity varies throughout the day. Like in Nigeria now, we talk about 63 naira per kilowatt, and that's what you use throughout the day. For those people in band A, they have maybe 230 or 200 whatever per kilowatt hour, which is kind of fixed. But in some country, they use what they call peak hour pricing, which means if they are collecting 10 naira, right, during off-peak period, during peak period, they might be going as high as 15 naira per kilowatt hour. And the reason why this is so is to discourage unnecessary usage of energy, to ensure that energy is available to those who truly need it. And this kind of system can be very useful to facility management professional to be able to cut down on their utility bill by understanding the the utility pricing. You can do demand shifting, where you shift your demand to some certain level. There's another strategy where you have a kind of an understanding with the utility company not to use energy beyond a certain threshold. And because of that, you get some special pricing to encourage that kind of energy conservation mindset. We also have what they call circuit level energy saving through real-time insight in energy usage per load point. This is kind of a solution we provide in Max-Migold, where we install smart sensor into your DBs to kind of capture energy utilization information with respect to each load center, so that we'll be able to know, what your AC is consuming, what your electric pump is consuming, what your lighting system is consuming, and based on that, those information is feed into a smart system that kind of give you insights to how to be able to area where you're having maybe energy wastage. The system will give you insight into that, and you'll be able to start cutting down your waste to know, okay, there's wastage in this area. At the same time, it also let you know how much you are consuming in terms of energy utility, in terms of energy with respect to each of your equipment. So you know which of your equipment is consuming more power than necessary. And one of the things we come to understand in maintenance management is that if a piece of equipment wants to go bad, there's likelihood that there will be spike in its energy consumption. So having this kind of technology also give you a kind of early warning into breakdown of your equipment. If your equipment is going to break down, if you probably see a sharp spike in your energy utility with respect to an asset, you can investigate, troubleshoot to know, why am I having this high energy consumption? That will let you, quickly detect abnormality within your system early enough. There's something we call reduced congestion, use of transportation infrastructure such as road and parking. We can introduce technology into your parking lots. That I think that was in Bayelsa. They have this smart solution. They have this proximity sensor on each of the parking lots that is kind of linked to their parking lot system, that the FM can have the real-time information, the level of utility of the parking lot. They have maybe I've forgotten the number. So, but let's say for example, they have about 300 parking lot spaces. They can see in real time how many of those parking lot is in use, how many is left, and that information is being used by the security team at the gate so that they will be able to direct the incoming traffic to the appropriate parking lot. Also, um, their parking lot has about 3 levels, 4 levels, where, ground level, I think first floor, second floor, and the like. So they use about 3 levels. At the entrance of each level, there's this LED display that tells you if there's a vacant space in that particular level of a parking lot. And that information is as a result of the proximity sensor that has been installed. So it gives user real time instead of you going to a parking lot and be driving around looking for spots. The system kind of notify you if there is space or no space, so that before you move into the parking lot, you already know if there is space. Then even when they tell you that there is space, when you move into this parking lot, the parking lot now have these indicator lights and on each of the spots. So from afar, you can see which of the parking lot is free without you needing to drive around the parking lot. So this was made possible by the combination of various technology from IoT, sensor, and so some other piece of technology. And this kind of give a better user experience of your facility. We have real-time access to sensors and surveillance video data. Now we talked about smart surveillance system that you can put in place and have access to it on your smartphones and the like. So these are kind of solutions you can also explore as a facility management professional, depending on your need, not based on the fancy solution. Let's make use of it. If there's a need for it, if you're having intruder issue or what have you, these are some of the whatever, or maybe you're having theft issue and you want to uncover this, you can put this kind of surveillance system with sensor to be able to capture maybe motion sensors and the likes. We have data-driven decision-making technology. We also have your mobile phone can also be a source of a facility management technology. We have appliances equipped with sensors to monitor the condition of appliances. When you are dealing with predictive maintenance, we have remote building monitoring system. We have IoT. We have smart landscaping, measuring and taking care of optimal. Now there are smart irrigation systems you can put in place that can monitor the condition of plants, and based on those conditions, they can administer nutrients, water based on the unique need of a specific plant instead of generic application, which kind of give you optimal result with respect to your landscaping. We have intelligent smart street lighting. We have drones that you can use to do a lot of routine inspection, especially for areas that are difficult for human to access, like your roof. If you have maybe multi-level floors and you want to access your facade, you can use this, your facade, sorry, you can use this drone, to fly around your building to kind of inspect your building facade. We have big data, we have predictive, we have emergency hubs and the like. We have smart energy, we have smart grid. Smart grid is not common in Nigeria, but we are getting to that level where we can have smart grid solution instead of having individual solar system. A whole street can have a smart grid solar solution that can power an entire street or an entire estate or whatever. We have bi-directional intelligent grid, which is not available in Nigeria at the moment. The solution works in a way that when you generate excess energy in your building, maybe due to solar or whatever means, you can sell that excess power to your utility provider. And because of that, you can use that to purchase credit that can be used to pay off future utility in situation where you find that you are not generating enough and you need to take power from the national grid. We have intelligent meter, we have energy efficiency through smart house, we have responsive equipment. So the list of FM technology is endless, to be very frank with you. And that's the reason why it is very important as facility manager to pay attention to what we are trying to achieve, not basically a specific technologies. When we understand what we are trying to achieve, we can now start doing research to be able to understand what kind of technology is available out there. And based on that understanding, we'll be able to pick the right fit of technology to address the issues we are trying to achieve. Now, lastly, which will bring us to the final step of what we are going to discuss. We are going to talk about some common software in facility management. And when we mean some common software, we will not be talking about software vendor per se, but we'll be talking about more of software category that we can find in facility management. The first one is what we call computerized maintenance management system, which we call CMMS. And basically, a CMMS solution is a piece of solution that you use specifically to manage your maintenance processes. So if I'm running a facility management, I am trying to get a piece of software that can help me to manage my PPM, my corrective maintenance, then manage my inventory, and help me to save my maintenance history according to my asset. Then what I'm looking for is a CMMS solution. Now, I'm not going to talk about the implementation because we have covered implementation strategy in our earlier slide. So, but the implementation is as simple to how we implement any piece of FM technology. Now, what I call the senior brother to the CMMS solution is what we call a CAFM solution. And a CAFM solution is what we call computer-aided facility management. And what we are saying is that using computer to support FM, that's basically what we are talking about. And CAFM is more like an extended CMMS solution where the solution is not just used for maintenance, but goes beyond maintenance. We can use the solution to address building data, furniture equipment data. We can talk about repair data, leasing information, building service information. You can use it to do a lot of high-level planning, strategic planning, tactical planning, space management, life cycle planning, capital replacement planning, So the benefit goes beyond just your PPM or what have you, you can use it to do a lot of high level strategic planning. So if you are looking for a more end-to-end FM solution, then you are looking into a CAFM solution where you can add your budgeting, your inventory management, you can capture your space utilization information. You can even use it to plan FM related projects and the likes. The implementation is similar to what we have for the CMMS, or for any FM solution, it's still the same implementation process we discussed as earlier. One of the classical challenges of CAFM is quite expensive. A true CAFM solution is expensive, and that's why it's always very important for FM to kind of go through the FM deliverable definition process to be able to really define what you are trying to achieve, so that you can ask yourself, do I really need a CAFM, or should I just go for a CMMS solution? Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of CAFM vendor out there, and to be very honest with you, some of them are just trash solution, because most of them focus on the shining technology, but they are not really solving the pain point of everyday facility managers. And that's one of the motivation I had back then 2 years ago. And I said, you know what, I want to spend time trying to understand how we as FM practitioner can come up with our own solution that address our own problem. The last FM solution CAFM solution we implemented for a client about 2 years ago cost about $500,000 to the clients, which is about $500,000. And that's a huge sum of money even 2 years ago compared to today. Imagine a client has to spend that same money in today's Nigeria. That will probably goes into billions of naira. Imagine you're asking your organization to give you billion just because you want to buy one fancy software. In fact, if I'm the MD, I'm going to choose you out of the company. So it's very important as FM professional to define clearly what you are trying to achieve before running with the idea that, we need fancy software or the like. Then BIM is what we call the building information modeling. BIM is not really a software per se, but more like a philosophy in the design processes. One of the popular software in BIM, we have, I think there's GraphSoft, something like that. There's GraphSoft, there's Autodesk, Revit, and some other solution like that. It has been a while I kind of ventured into that arena, but the BIM has been growing exponential in recent times, and there's a lot of potential that BIM has actually offered, even for the FM, if it's fully embraced. Although BIM is still in Nigeria, BIM is still going through a lot of the developmental phases, and there's still no national adoption of BIM. But we are hoping that in coming years, BIM will be fully adopted, and we as FM, we can take advantage of the full functionality of what BIM can offer. BIM is just a digital representation of your physical facility in a digital form. And if that is done, it is possible for us as FM to extract a lot of metadata which can be used as part of our FM information system. The importance of BIM is quite elaborate, but I will encourage us to do a bit of digging, a bit of research into BIM, so that we can really appreciate where the future is going for us as FM practitioners. Then we have what we call the building management system. The building management system is actually a control system that can be used to monitor and manage mechanical, electrical, and electromechanical system in a facility. You can install it as a standalone system, or you can install it as an integrated system. For those of you that probably worked with, all these new generation building, like the Mansard Place, the Heritage Place, some of these big facility on the highland. Most of them have this building management system, BMS. Basically, the BMS incorporates a computer interface and a lot of sensors, which has an interconnected system in such a way that the sensors kind of give information about the status of your system from from a computer, where you can see your pump running. You are able to turn on your pump from the comfort of your computer or put it off. Some can install what we call an HMI, which is human machine interface, where you'll be able to see what is going on in your machine. That combination of systems, what we call is building management system. The system cannot automate anything, basically. The core of the system is to monitor and report back, right? It is not left for you as the operator to maybe send command using maybe the system interface, or probably go physically to where the asset is or the equipment is and do whatever troubleshooting or configuration. But the benefit of it is that it gives you what we call a bird view of everything within your system from the comfort of your workstation, which means I know exactly what is going on in my system. If you have worked in a power plant, you discover in the power plant they have this big screen that display a lot of graphical whatever. You are wondering what is this. That is similar to what a CAFM system. From that system, where you now have the plant operator, they are steering on the screen. What they are basically doing is they are studying the various processes and equipment, and the system can tell them if there's a problem with any of the process from the comfort from that screen. And based on that, they can either use the control module to issue a command to either reset or control or correct the abnormality in the system, or they can call maybe the maintenance team, and tell them, oh, there's a problem with a particular system in so location within the facility. So it's the same implementation we are bringing to facility management, where we are applying the same system they use in process plant to a building facility. So the primary function is to control heating and cooling by managing the system that distributes air throughout the building. The secondary purpose is to manage the level of human-generated CO2 by mixing outside air and the likes and the like. So the benefit is numerous. It controls the internal comfort condition, provide possibilities for individual room control, increase staff productivity. And why we say it increase staff productivity is because staff are able to get informed and direct information about the system status, their facility system status. So if there are issues, they know exactly where the issue is coming from. They are not confused, and they can go straight to the source of the problem and fix it. It improves plant reliability and life, effective response to HVAC-related complaints, save time and money during maintenance. Implementation is quite similar to what we have been discussing so far. Now, there's a slight variation to BMS and what we call the BAS, and they are quite similar, and sometimes you will probably have both of them working hand in hand. The difference between the BMS and the BAS is that the BAS does not just monitor, but the BAS has what they call a control functionality, which means it can self-regulate itself. So if it's monitoring the process parameter and the process parameter has deviated from the preset level, the system can automatically correct itself without the interference of the operator. And that's the basic advantage of BAS over the BMS. For example, there's a fire issue, right? Your BAS can easily turn off your HVAC system, shut down your lift system, turn off your access control to ensure that all doors are fully open, cut down, close down your what do you call your air damper to ensure that your ventilation system is not working and bringing in air and stuff like that. So, a practical example to what some of us might be very familiar with is the automatic changeover switch, where when there's lights, probably you're on generator and our our interesting PACL people restore power. You will discover that you probably hear a sound from a sound that give you an indication that now there's power. Then after some few minutes, you see that your generator goes off and your system automatically change the source of power to the public utility. And if along the way our wonderful NEPA people decided to do their normal thing, your system is smart enough to automatically bring up your generator and switch the source of power without interference of your generator operator and the like. So this is a classic example of your BAS system. Your BAS system can also come very handy when you have chillers, all these powerful HVAC systems that are probably networked to work. I think in Bayelsa they have about 6 chiller systems that work hand in hand, and the system is so intelligent that it knows it can monitor the demand of cooling in the building and determine how many of the chiller system should be operating at a given time. They have about 6 generator system that also works, in parallel and stuff like that. And the system is intelligent enough to know how many generator it should run at a given time to be able to adequately address the demand of electricity within the building. So these are just practical examples of where your BAS can become very, very handy. It improves environmental impact, improves security, improve building maintenance, improve operator convenience. Because the system can self-regulate, it reduces the number of time your operator is running from one point to another within your system. It provides real-time status update and constant access, and it saves time. What do a BAS do? I've kind of summarizes most of what a BAS system does, but you can go through this and kind of do a bit of research to have a better understanding of what a BAS is for those of us that doesn't have this system currently running our facility. It might be helpful to get familiarized with them, because in the future you might find yourself in a facility that uses some of these systems. So lastly, I just wanted to point out, although we have kind of touched on some of this issue, but I just want to quickly point out some of the problems we face as facility management professional when it comes to implementing technology. One of them is poor data. We don't have data. We don't have accurate data, or the quality of data we have is very poor. Lack of data consistency or interoperability. And when we talk about interoperability, we are saying that we have a source of data that we cannot move from one system to the other without necessarily manipulating data to suit our purpose. We are talking about, when we say data operability, we are talking about I can take data from a particular technology and I can plug it into another technology without me necessarily doing any data manipulation or data cleaning or data adjustment. FM data scramble for information to react facility issues. Data from construction comes in source of paper flash drives and CD-ROMs that are practically useless to FM. Poor documentation result in poor management decision. Most of the FM drawings we deal with are 2D drawing, which are not really efficient for FM use. Secrets in a bill of quantity problem, missing equipment, asset register. The list goes on, and you will agree with me that some of the things we are highlighting in this slide are some of the things we face on a day-to-day basis as FM practitioners. The 7 deadly sin when it comes to FM deployment is lack of setting, not having realistic expectation, lack of specific outcome, lack of commitment from management and stakeholders, lack of planning, lack of quality, lack of communication amongst the implementation team or stakeholder, and lack of authority. That is to say, as an FM, I don't have the power to be able to make decision about FM deployment and implementation. So this brings us to the end of our lecture, and the floor is open for addition, subtraction, contribution before we bring the discussion to a close. Thank you very much, and the floor is open. If you have questions, you have suggestions, you have experienced some of the things I've discussed about, and you want to chip in 1 or 2 things, the floor is open, and you can unmute and add your contribution. On question, contribution. I'm guessing we don't have a question. All right, so we'll be bringing the class to a close. But if you have questions, kindly drop it in the WhatsApp group. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible. All right, good night, everyone, and we catch up in the future.